don't walk the trail. I say he don't walk the trail. He don't walk the trail. He don't walk the trail, no, no. Well, the dragon don't walk the trail no more. Nobody live on my day. Well, the dragon don't walk the trail no more. He don't walk the trail. He don't walk the trail. He don't walk the trail no more, no more, no more, no more, no more. Well, the dragon don't walk the trail no more. Chalo. Somewhere up in Laventille, many years ago, a man had a hammer, used to follow him to and fro. He used to use it to pong a pan, or sometimes a stupid man, all in the savannah, never miss panorama. One day the old hammer just disappeared. Oh, some say that it vanished into thin air. Away the man with the hammer gone. From April of 85, Hammer went to sleep. After years of making noise, not even a peep. He used to move with the dragon man, all through the soca land. Always on the scene, they used to control the Baba Green. Well, the dragon don't walk the trail no more. Who holding the hammer, I want to know. How is the man with the hammer gone? Silver chariot riding to the sun, leaving fire in its wake, spirits on the run. As we gather round that day, I guess Sister Sheila say, how last night she see a sign, she see the hammer and it doing fine. Same time thunder roll, she ball out, you see? He done start to tune up and already. Away the man with the hammer gone. Sheila, what going on? Tell me where you gone. This hammer giving we a heavy horn. Tell me where you gone. This thing like a police boots on me corn. Tell me where you gone. Search all through the tongue. Turn it upside down. Check on top the hill. On the windowsill. Oh Lord, well the dragon don't walk the trail no more. Tell them, well the dragon don't walk the trail no more. Tell them again. Well, the dragon don't walk the trail no more. Boom it down the bambade. Well, the dragon don't walk the trail no more. I say he don't walk the trail. I say he don't walk the trail. He don't walk the trail. Give praise, children. Give praise. Give praise, children. Yeah. Give praise. Give praise, children. Yeah. Give praise. Give praise, children. Our Father who has given us His arms that we can all feel like we're a part of this earthly heaven. Forgive us this day our daily weakness as we seek to cast our mortal burdens on your city. Oh, merciful Father, in this bacchanal season when men lose their reason, but most of us just want to wine and have a good time 'cause we're looking for a line because we're feeling fine, Lord. And as we jump up and down in this crazy town, send us some music for some healing. Everybody hand raise. Everybody give praise. Everybody hand raise. And if you know what I mean, put up your finger. And if you know what I mean, put up your hand. And if you know what I mean, put up your finger. And if you know what I mean, then scream. Oh, oh, oh. Give Jah His praises. Oh, oh, oh. Let Jah be praised. Oh, oh, the Father in His mercy, He sent a little music to make me vibration raise. So Carnival Day, everybody come and celebrate. Yeah. Everybody come and celebrate. See the ragamuffin congregate. Yeah. Everybody come and celebrate. And everybody say, eh, 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 I love the country. Well, let me hear you sing it. Eh, 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 I'm feeling irate. Ooh, eh, 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 I love the country. Well, let me hear you sing it. Eh, 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 I'm feeling irate. Our Father who has given us His heart so we can all feel a part of your heaven. Forgive us today our daily weaknesses as we seek to cast our mortal burdens on your city. On this lovely day when we come out to play and we come out to sway and we breaking away, some will say what they have to say, but only you know the pain we're feeling. As it was in the beginning of Juve, good vibes till Carnival through the end. Take it up. Everybody hand raise. Everybody give praise. Everybody hand raise. And if you know what I mean, put up your finger. If you know what I mean, put up your hand. If you know what I mean, put up your finger. Well, if you know what I mean, then scream. Oh, oh, oh. Give Jah His praises, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Let Jah be praised. Oh, oh, oh. The Father in His mercy, He sent a little soca to make me vibration raise. So Carnival Day, everybody come and celebrate. Yeah. Everybody come and celebrate. Yeah. See the ragamuffin congregate.
Lennox Smith and Goodnight. If you hear me, we ain't hearing saying anything in the live, you only hear any music in the background, so you go check your audio. It's only the music we are, yeah, so you go check it. All right.
A pleasant good night, my honorable. Honorable, we have no audio on the screen. All right.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. All right, good. Oh boy, one thing after the next. But we'll get it. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right. Let's see. Thank you very much, of course, for those who indicated that we don't have any audio. Well, I think that has been rectified now. The point I was making is that tonight we will look at, of course, the holiday, the Spiritual Shouter Baptist holiday. Yes, I have a bias. Not that I am not concerned or ought not to be concerned with that of the Easter and so on, which, of course, is the normal Christian holiday. But certainly, I think Shouter Baptist is, to me, the most crucial, having regard, of course, to its significance for the development, the cultural and religious development and the spiritual development of the country, and of course the liberation of those persons who have been subjected to the stymied or the emasculation of their religion. So you would appreciate my bias or my preference at this point in time. That being as it may, have a wonderful one. I was also saying that I see that we are getting problems on the Facebook connection as well. So sorry, I'm trying to see if I can get it, but I don't have technical people with me, so I'm doing it myself. In fact, this correction of the mic and the audio has been my own doing. So I'm learning, not quick enough, obviously, but certainly for some of you, but better late than never. And of course, better you have half a loaf, as they say, than none at all. Have a wonderful rest of the night as we, of course, continue with this program tonight.
Oh, 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 oh,
You have built the auditorium in Balmain. You have built the car park in Balmain. And I think you are designing the cathedral. So you are making good use and good progress farther along. And of course, you did ask for help with respect to a memorial ground. But because you were more disparate than together, and it seems as though you were destined always not to come together and to have an institutional structure. The cabinet said we'll give you assistance of 10 million and some land in Balmain and see what you will do with it. I intend to ask the cabinet at the next session, having got confirmation that you've made full use of the first half, to get you the second half. And if there's anything you can teach the people of Trinidad and Tobago, you, the spiritual Baptists, you can teach the people of Trinidad and Tobago how to raise their children with moral and spiritual values. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot that we have lost by destroying what we met, creating vacuums, and not replacing them with anything useful. With the spiritual Baptists, in your resplendent garments, you can do that, and you can...
People, of course, I would like us to pay meticulous attention to that scenario, that situation of which Dr. Rowley referred, one, and two, the level of understanding, and I'm being generous here, the level of understanding that clearly is not consistent with the historical as well as the factual evolution that gave rise to that particular holiday called the Shouter Baptist Liberation Day. It's very important that you understand, because I take note, and you must take note as well, that Dr. Rowley, in his attempt to provide some kind of, I wouldn't say olive branch, but certainly some kind of fig leaf to the Baptist community, did so in what I consider to be blissful ignorance. Blissful ignorance. And I say so from the perspective that if he had done his homework, particularly after that 2 years ago in 2022, when he literally generated a mockery of the Baptist community, who are sensitive, who are very meticulous, to whom this holiday is like breathing, it's like oxygen. One, as a prime minister and the leader of the country, must not only take note of, but cannot trifle. Cannot trifle. That is not an option for a leader in this country at the level of the prime minister. Why am I saying so? You see, whole week, within the Council of Elders, the Spiritual Shouter Baptists of Trinidad and Tobago, in fact, today, Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, the head of that entity, is being honored, not by the Prime Minister, not by any government agency, but by, of course, persons who are either connected or are independent of the UNC, because right must be right. Fair must be fair. History must be in its purity. It must be pristine. It must not be convoluted or in any way infiltrated by revisionist ideology, concept, or by persons wanting, of course, to plagiarize, to arrogate unto themselves a position that they either did not work for or are undeserving. Yes, this is where I think we must make and set the record straight. You see, I'll play it again. Dr. Rowley is talking about the spiritual Baptists. You see, the fact of the matter is not all Baptists are spiritual, but not all Baptists are shouter Baptists. And so long as you do not hear the name, the appellation, or the title shouter, you know that whosoever it is operating in ignorance as far as the holiday is concerned. You see, it was the shouter Baptists, let me repeat, the shouter Baptists, whether they were spiritual shouter Baptists, but the shouter Baptists, that's the commonality, that is the common thread, the golden thread, that will distinguish someone who is acting or speaking out of ignorance or deliberately attempting, of course, to thwart and to twist and to revise the historical realities. Let us not waste time. And so it is in that context the Council of Elders Spiritual Shouter Baptists of Trinidad and Tobago, headed by Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke. Up to last night I had discussions with her, and I will be, of course, having again tomorrow, on the question of setting this historical wrong right. This historical misinformation, disinformation by those who may be within the Baptist realm, but because their agenda is one of arrogating unto themselves credit for which they are not just undeserving, but played no part in acquiring as far as the holiday is concerned. Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke is still alive. And I think what I will do, if not before, but certainly after, is have her on one of these lives so that we can set the record straight in our own environment, not polluted by any extraneous ideological, spiritual, or ecclesiastic, what I consider to be egotist or exuberant individual, attempting, of course, to use the nuances, fine and thin as they may be, but nonetheless distinguishable from that of the shouter and the original intent for the holiday to address those persons who were deprived of their religion and their worshiping and their rituals and their dogma according to their cultural and historical understanding, some of which, of course, are coming out of Africa and mixed, of course, over the years with those that came from other continents, whether it be Asia or Europe. And of course, settled here as the melting pot called Trinidad and Tobago. A melting pot of religions, a melting pot of cultures, a melting pot of ideologies, a melting pot of socio-economic preferences, and indeed, in the midst of all of that, the evolution, the emergence of a common culture, carnival, etc., may be the most significant of them all to, of course, put this situation in perspective. So let me go there. Listen to Dr. Rowley again as he addresses, and he talks only of spiritual Baptists. That tells me he is ignorant of what this holiday is all about.
Built the headquarters in Balmain. You have built the auditorium in Balmain. You have built the car park in Balmain. And I think you are designing the cathedral, so you are making good use and good progress farther along. And of course, you did ask for help with respect to a memorial ground. But because you were more disparate than together, and it seems as though you were destined always not to come together and to have an institutional structure. The cabinet said, we'll give you assistance of 10 million and some land in Balmain and see what you will do with it. I intend to ask the cabinet at the next session, having got confirmation that you've made full use of the first half, to get you the second half. And if there's anything you can teach the people of Trinidad and Tobago, you, the spiritual Baptists, you can teach the people of Trinidad and Tobago how to raise their children with moral and spiritual values. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot that we have lost by destroying what we met, creating vacuums, and not replacing them with anything useful. The spiritual Baptists, in your resplendent garments, you can do that, and you can help. I call upon you to help. Let the nation hear your voice. Let the nation see your values, and let the nation accept your gratitude.
Spiritual Shelter Baptist Liberation Day will be celebrated on Saturday, March 30th.
But of course, coming from Dr. Rowley and being a practitioner of the Shelter Baptist religion, I am of the view, even though, of course, I may be probably infringing on a particular, of course, a tenet of the religion, and any religion for that matter, to be, of course, presumptuous. But presumption is mitigated, is reduced, is eroded when there is a consistency, when there is a behavioral pattern, as I would have been trained to observe as a criminologist, a master's degree. You would see that the consistency here in the context of Dr. Rowley is that he cannot mean what he says, and only because the circumstance and the audience maybe there is a requirement for him to speak in a particular way, he speaks. Because, as I've always said, that in 2022, when he mocked the Shelter Baptist community by raising a hymn, somebody touch him, and I've always said that somebody slap him. It had to be Manning turning in the grave. But the fact of the matter is donned with, of course, what I consider to be a costume reminiscent of the Batman series, the Riddler, or one of those characters. And then, of course, it being converted because the young people saw it and followed, of course, Dr. Rowley's footsteps and created a song, a soca song, out of that using Rowley's voice. And then Rowley himself and the PNM used the same creation, the same perversion of that song, consequential of raising it at a Shouter Baptist occasion, hosted by, of course, the PNM. They did that in their own PNM meeting, and then, of course, Rowley saying that meet me in the savannah next year. So that speaks all. It speaks volumes as to the insincerity, and it's not that he doesn't know. For me, the first thing should have happened is that he should have apologized. He has yet to apologize, and therefore I can say that he was blasted insincere with those sentiments, and still asking at the same time for help with respect to crime. So it's not sufficient that he confessed that he has lost the fight on crime. It's not sufficient that he had a 10-point plan that has collapsed. He's not satisfied that he asked the parents. He's not convinced or satisfied that he has asked other religious practitioners and elements in the society for help. He's not satisfied. 5 so far. He's not satisfied that he claimed that crime is a public health problem and caused by our expense millions of dollars to be spent on hosting, of course, Caribbean leaders here in Trinidad on the matter. He now, of course, on this occasion, talks about this Baptist community helping him with crime, a responsibility that he has taken on as part of the job of a prime minister and a government, and therefore a party in office. But linked to that, connected to that, in terms of responsibility, because it's very important, because if we have the time tonight, we will also, of course, explore that. The fact of the matter is this, that Rowley and Imbert and others regularly talks about they have to find money to pay salaries. They have to find money for that part of the PSIP, or the part of the budget that is responsible for infrastructure development. It's called the PSIP, Public Sector Investment Program, PSIP. And he talks about, of course, money for social development and all of the services that it provides for persons who, for one reason or another, may not be able to help themselves or fall through the cracks of the society, and therefore the concept of the welfare state is well established within the idea and the execution of the programs and the services provided by the Social Development Ministry. And he speaks about borrowings, of course, for other issues, including, of course, the COVID treatment with the hospitals and health services. I'm sure that he would have included, of course, in terms of public funding that is, of course, the responsibility of the state, teachers, and we can go on and on, schools, etc., the education system. The point I am making is this: whether it be expenditure on agriculture, the agricultural ministry, whether it be expenditure on education, whether it be expenditure on national security, whether it be expenditure on whether it is expenditure in the office or for the execution of sports and culture, whether it be expenditure in the area of youth and youth development, whether it is expenditure in the area of the ministry that is responsible for the monitoring, acquisition, and maintenance of state buildings. I'm talking about, of course, the Ministry of We also have, of course, the Ministry of the responsible for electricity and other maintenance, Ministry of Public Utilities, and of course, the one that slightly, of course, slipped me was, of course, the Ministry of Public Administration. All of them. It has always been and will always be the responsibility of the government. And the party that is in charge of the country at the time has that responsibility. It has been so from time immemorial. Yet still, Dr. Rowley, when he is speaking about that as if he is doing the country a favor and as if it's he alone has that responsibility or that capability or that capacity, he and the PNM, man, the man has totally gone berserk. The man has gone mad. And the man is in cognitive and intellectual as well as, of course, a cerebral decline. How you can make it look as though you are doing us a favor and repeating that all the time. You have to find money for this one, find money for that one, etc. And we must feel sorry for you because that is the context in which he is speaking. And I say to you, damn you, Rowley. That is the task, that's the job you asked for. But I suppose you shouldn't be surprised because even that and all, he wants to relinquish. He wants to abandon. He wants to have his cake and eat it. He wants to enjoy the best. He wants to go on holidays in Ireland on this occasion and tell us that the hard work, that it is extreme work to find money for all of these services that is the obligation and the task and the imperative of any government. And government here means any party that is a government or group of individuals that found themselves in the government of the country through the electoral process. How dare Rowley try to twist and turn and to make it look as though he is doing us a favor? I say to you, Rowley, get the hell out of office. Get the ass out of office. Because the fact of the matter is that to come and tell us, hoodwink us, and to gaslight us with that hogwash. You have a duty and responsibility. It has always been so. And in order for you to determine the level of dotishness that Rowley is speaking, when those kinds of, because I heard it just, 2 days ago in a PNM meeting by Imbert, making it look so difficult that, of course, they had to find money for increased salaries, they had to find money for government employees, and the whole plethora, and making it look as though it's such a huge task, when in fact, it is the only task of a government in office. I'm talking about a party that is in government in office. So let us disabuse and let us not be fooled by Rowley and their hogwash. You see, I waited and waited and waited, but I think it's about time that we put the record straight. Because he did the same thing during COVID, making us believe that somehow he did us a favor. He did us a favor by finding the money, and up to now we can't account for the monies that was found and presumably expended. But of course, the expenditure of which he speaks cannot match up with the service that was actually delivered. And now he comes with this regular talk As if that is if that is a huge task, Rowley, get your ass out of office and let somebody else take the responsibility. And I could assure you, Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC are well poised. They have the capacity and the ability and the wherewithal to manage the affairs where you, from your confessions, are finding it difficult. To manage the affairs of the country. We don't want to hear that. What we want to hear is the solutions that you have preferred, consequential of the monies that you have expended, which we expect you to manage in our interests, and nothing more, nothing less. Let's go straight, of course, to the lines. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Hello, good night, Lennox. You're
Good night to
singing
you.
well tonight. Everything up and singing nice tonight. You hearing me clearly?
Loudly
Any
and clearly,
echo?
yes. Everything nice.
Okay. I tell you already, we had to pray for this man, you know. Don't let him fret you, so, you know, we had to pay attention to a lot of things. We can't focus on he too much. We have to focus on the wretch and them. The rest are wretch. That is what they are. Right? We have to focus on what's going on in the region.
Yes, go
We
ahead.
can't be selfish and say we have business about what's going on in Haiti. We have to look at our own domestic affairs. If people pay attention and know what's going on in Cuba right now, we looking stupid. You hear? In this Trinidad and Tobago, we real stupid because the Cubans protesting a communist country there with this government. They stand up to that terrible, brutal regime. And it's weeks now they're protesting day and night because they don't have electricity, right? They don't have food, terrible food shortage, and they're shouting they're hungry. What we doing here? Just because the government tell you all on the ground report, the pushback movement, I should say, that you can't have placard and you can't go in the square or they stand down, and that is not good. It have the people feeling really down the track. As a leader, you're supposed to say, let's go forward. And I wouldn't stop talking that. Right? We have to see to get this man out of power because the more we keep him there, is the more he doing all kind of things. People telling me they don't want to hear nothing about no community microphone. They don't want people want to protest. I and all find that they're making sense. That is soft approach. And right now, the man people will really follow now is Victor Robert. I listened to him last night and he will get plenty backup because he's not a coward. And who vex how I talk lost? Because I just talk plain. The more you keep this kind of soft approach, right, with this criminal man and the criminal friends and them, the terrorist friends and them with the support terrorism, the brotherhood, is the more worse it will get for we inside of here, right? And all the time they're talking about let's get together. When I talk straight, like how I talk in here, there's all the thing they're saying and all kind of cuss are getting on track. People cussing me with their fingers. And when I cuss them back and they can't take it, they have to get together to say I cuss too much life on the ground report because I using all kind of statements, but I must call cough. They're seeing what I'm saying to other people plus myself. They're seeing that. They're seeing what Mr. Arima say. I just tell them plain. Don't tell me good morning and no chat. I don't want no greetings. I don't tell nobody good morning because most of them, they're deceitful. Right? And Let's just start to talk and say what to say and a chat. I want no hello, I want no good morning, no good night. Everybody know that. Don't tell me anything and I won't have anything to tell you. I don't trouble nobody. I don't bash nobody thing when they talk. Right? But they always want to tell me how to talk. Nobody are paying me. I could say what I want about the UNC when I say they're sleepy, they're damn sleepy. And this is why all this BS going on right now with the Gary Griffith and the Parry and the Roberts and all this kind of thing. Kamala wasn't supposed to have Gary Griffith in no party. I did say that. And it's from there the bacchanal start. Well, the abscess, it busts now. And let it take that in the pipe and smoke it. I want to see who could open their mouth for Victor Roberts. I listened to him last night. And I want to see who have guts or who could back. I want to see who backing at him. All them who belong to the big mouth bully gang. Let me hear them tell Robert something. I right here and waiting. I will be calling and talking when the funeral starts. I will sing at the burial. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My only, of course, addition to that is simply that we need all on board. All. And we need the various levels. If some prefer to be militant, well, by all means. That is your option. If it is that you prefer to be soft, a softer touch, but nonetheless impacting on the realities that the Rowley administration is inimical to the interests of Trinidad and Tobago, well, by all means. And if you are midway or anywhere in between there, then by all means. But the fact of the matter is that at the end of the day, all of us must recognize that we have a solemn as well as a solid and inevitable responsibility to, of course, address the problem of maladministration, a government that is incompetent, a government that is wicked, a government that has no regards for the rule of law, a government that is prepared to subvert the principles of the separation of powers and, of course, undermine our democracy with a high degree of illegality. I'm talking here specifically about misbehavior in public office, abuse of office, and rank and unadulterated corruption by misspending or by engaging in nepotism and cronyism, friends, family, and acquaintances and persons with high connections to the party, given, of course, the largest of the state, unmeritoriously. That is where I would want it to go. All have a duty and responsibility. No one approach. No one approach. The only one approach must be that all eyes are focused on the enemy, and there's one enemy, the PNM and Rowley. So, whilst people may be taking different roads, at the end of the day, the terminus, the end point, the target, the bullseye is the PNM, Rowley, and all of his minions. And so I don't think I need to go further on that particular matter, except, of course, to revert to my conversation in terms of the ignorance of this administration and to demonstrate once and for all that the Council of Elders, the Spiritual Shouter Baptist of Trinidad and Tobago, will not and has not been given a fair shake under this administration, largely because of their ignorance, but of course fueled by those with ambitions that they do not earn. They do not earn. They must say what they did to get the holiday going. We have still someone alive that has not associated with them, and Rowley, as Prime Minister, and with responsibility for equitably distributing the nation's wealth, should have taken note and then ensure some kind of conversation with Barbara Grayburg. That's the point I'm making. Let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
A pleasant good night to you, Mr. Lennox, and
Pleasant good night to you,
all
sir.
the listeners.
Yes.
To all the listeners of the World Wide Web, and to the slave catchers. Mr. Lennox, the King Rowley, he came across and say that the drug deal will save our economy and we have money. In his budget said that the economy is still around and 3% unemployment and under, and he's doing a robust. But the nice thing about it, Rowley signed a deal with Royal Dutch Shell.
Yes.
And to explore the energy sector. And he said that he negotiated the best price because the UNC had idle buy and they had no robust and again revenue needed for this country. But anyhow, Hugo Chavez is fighting to see if he can master back into power, and Donald Trump is looking like he's winning in the United States. So I see now, yeah, money. But no money, but he could get US currency now. I wonder if he's above every citizen and his special treatment. So he could go on 14 days holiday and go and spend holidays and spend US. So I wonder if the dead people that was talking to help him out. But what we're talking about is where the money is to give the poor people. But Mr. Lennox, from since 1952, coming up the road with the PNM after he chief and Baris Sagan Maharaj give him the Indian vote to form the PNM. Since then to now, that is the model. Hoodwink them. If they have, we don't have. Where would we get? We don't have. And thief out every single thing. Erica is one of the richest, quietest person in the world today. And you're not hearing about their suffering. Then you come and see Keith Rowley. He don't even know the history of Dr. Eric William and the founding father of the PNM. He went to Palisade House. Further, he gave him a petier. He don't know who is the people in the petier. And who are the three stalwarts who are standing in that petier. So you see, all Rowley is more thief, thief more, thief and hardship are the people. Now, the programs to give to the ground roots and the citizen, where it is. But you see, they get something out to hold on to, the internal election of the UNC. But internal election in UNC, we don't have that. That is water under the bridge. Because I don't know how much months, how days in June, but I know if it's 32 days, it will be on the 34th election must work. Right? So everybody who is qualified for election and the whole election, right, that is very good and healthy. And everybody will have enough time to make sure to register the people and lobbyist support. Yes, the PNM do it different. They had it for three days, and Rowley could get 8,000 people to vote for him. So there's a natural rejection. And our political leader is either she have enough supporters and people who want to lead them, right? But if the executive is up for grabs, there we go. But that they will tell us that Mark Lukewan in Nikon industry is winding up over $100 million US a year, right? And then he go on one side. So where's the money? You see where the money going? And then you can see where the industry is. Right? And Alison West is not saying anything about that. But if they could go to the parliament to get $10 billion raised to borrow it again, and because when the oil price went up, he said the borrowing ceiling went up, and he take advantage of it. So I only hope people understand that the theater bill, what we have to pay just now, and the bandit about, and the local government reform. Local reform, everything will be hunky-dory. And India, nobody talking about India talking parliament, that the people who do the assessment, they didn't know the elbow. So when the donkey just put up the wind pasture grass, the fertilizer. So they didn't know, and the cake was flawed. And nobody talking about, they protested, get a injunction on that. No, that is not important, because you know why? He would wink his supporters in the Asian houses and them, tell them they don't have to pay. But you asked the same people on Western Street and in East Port of Spain, ask clients for the house, $1 or $100. You see, they don't want to entertain that talk. So you see whether it's fully people. Mr. Lennox, the point of this is that Electoral has fully people for since 1952, and the election that is coming, he threw a little piece of I think to make them look like they're nice. Get a little stick and some powder. Have a nice night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But just before I go back to, of course, my Baptist, Shouter Baptist extrapolation, if you want to call it that, setting the record right, if you want to call it that, making certain that we disabuse and we show either the level of ignorance or the level of conspiracy to try to rewrite history and not to give credit where credit is due as far as the recognition of the Baptist community in general, but the holiday in particular is directed to the Shouter Baptists of Trinidad and Tobago and those who were subjected, of course, to that bigotry and the legislative acts that stymied and, of course, emasculated people from worshipping, and many of whom were jailed, died, and suffered, but at the same time persevered and pioneered, and therefore they must not be left out of the largesse or whatever benefits the state has to offer in order to not necessarily compensate, but to continue the recognition that that particular group of religious elements connected to Trinidad and Tobago, it must be the consciousness of the people that it is that group of persons that were particularly affected, whilst the others, calling themselves Baptists, would have benefited from the efforts of the pioneers, and of course one of whom is still alive today, called Archbishop Barbara Grayburg, Doctor, who of course will be celebrated on Saturday up at the Empowerment Hall at Maloney, opposite, of course, Maloney Housing Development. I being, of course, the master of ceremonies for that particular day. So you have a date with us. It begins at around 10:30. Put the record straight. As Bishop Barbara Burke, why she's a very public person, as we have seen and know, but will not, of course, try to go here, there, and everywhere to, of course, set the record straight. No, those of us who are aware, those of us who are conscious, those of us who have a sense and a reality, those of us who know that merit must be given where merit is due, must, of course, come to the fore and defend to the hilt that travesty, that misinformation and disinformation perpetrated and nurtured by those who have an agenda to try to escalate and to put themselves where they ought not to be. We need at minimum to set the record straight. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox Smith.
Pleasant
good night to you, Lennox Smith, and everybody on the night. Pleasant good night.
Yes.
Lennox Smith, I want to find something from you. It
Right.
have any documentary where the PNM government underneath Electoral did injustice to the Baptist community where this generation could go and take a look at or have any kind of evidence stating that these people and them really did practice on them are injustice? Because apparently in other countries when they want to get history at their country, you could go up on YouTube and get it, but apparently in Trinidad, for some strange reason, it has been erased, and you could only get it from word of mouth from the elders and them in this country. So I wonder if it has some way you could go and get evidence to show this generation that the PNM was never against, was never in support of the Baptist community. Because I heard stories too when I was younger from my father where the Baptist community is concerned. And I remember Manning at one time had used these people and them to win the election after Ian Robinson. Because I remember in the that was in the early 90s, where in the era that I live in, all them junctions and then they had them Baptist people and them doing a certain ritual and the mark up PNM in the road. I remember them thing as clear as day. I was probably going primary school at the time, but I remember it. Because I remember when I go to school, I used to be seeing them performing in the road, all in the cemetery, the ritual just to get PNM in power. So I was wondering if it has some kind of history showing this generation that the PNM wasn't in line or wasn't in sync with the Baptist faith. If that evidence could present itself, that would be a great help. Next thing to before I go.
Go ahead.
If that short or silent approach Kamala taking towards this government is only one way governance is concerned. And I want Kamala and her team to ensure that this next election keep Rowley in teeth like the other two elections, because when I watch what happened in Tobago, that was clear as day, and they can't take no chance to go and look at that thing in there, because then happened any day that this man had 3 seats in his 6 seats that he already won to try and thief the election in Tobago. And I hope that Kamala will be able to have special people, not in the public eye, but special people to have an eye on the EBC. Because that is the tool, that one of the main tool they're using with election is concerned. So all I focusing on is the election day itself, that these people and them input things for it to go in their favor. Doctor, and listening.
Thank you very much. I want to start with the last part first, and I want to tell you, one-time caller, that the first part of your presentation, I want you to go to the top of the class because you seem to have a kind of a foresight in this regard, of course, on this matter, because it would have been remiss, it would have been a mistake, in other words, and it has been a mistake, that the Shouter Baptist community did not find it appropriate, whether collectively or individually, to chronicle, to put into this public what I consider to be information space. Information that could, of course, either verify or people can do research. I want to tell you that, and I'll tell you in a while why I am saying that. But I want to address the last part of your presentation as far as the stealing of the elections that is stereotypical, and of course I'm sure the PNM is contemplating, as we see, of course, developments taking place in so-called marginal constituencies. St. Joseph, for example, is one of those with the construction of and Todapuna, with the construction of houses in the just in the hinterland of the northern range, but within that particular or those particular constituencies, to benefit, of course, what I consider to be a house padding scenario. Of course, they weren't successful with the one specific for St. Joseph when they tried, of course, to commandeer the arable agricultural piece of land in Kurup, just beyond Kurup Junction or before Kurup Junction, depending on your approach. But let's go straight, of course, to the line. Once again, we'll take the phone this time. we'll take the phone this time, and we'll have to do it through the phone. But a pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Silver Fox here.
Good night to you, my friend.
I want to know, right? What is there to prevent Rowley and the PNM from thieving this election? What is in place for them not to thief this election? What can we do to get observers, international observers in this country? Because I'm telling you this, the people of Trinidad and Tobago is afraid of Key Christopher Rowley. Key Christopher Rowley have us in his back pocket because this country in a lot of, well, I call it tutu, and it is not fixing. Nobody is not trying to fix it. Look, the other day we was to get a march, and we just turned down that. That is a weak move. If you're fighting, you have to fight. You can't come out with a slingshot and then you have a little baton in your hand afterwards and telling me, well, you go do this different and you go do that different. If you're going for a fight, you're going for a fight. If you want to bring Rowley and his government down, we're going to bring him down. If you're starting something and turn back halfway, how you expect after that the people will be following you to anything else after that? Because that is a sign of weakness. That is a sign of frightening. That is a sign, I don't even know what to put in it. But if you have to fight, you have to fight. There is no way to take Rowley out of power without getting out there. We could talk how much we want, I tell you. Rowley have everybody. If he cannot get that to, he would have put it. We as people, if we don't stand up as people and as one in this country, we will be if we get up. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's a fair assessment of the situation, but as I've often said, with respect to that, I'll get back to the matter I was talking about earlier. But of course, it is connected to the previous callers' concern about the EBC and the propensity of this government to have an unfair electoral advantage over all opponents. And of course, I've often said that Rowley has proven over the last two national elections which he has contested as head of the PNM to engage in an auto coup scenario where, of course, he uses the offices of government to project and to promote and to take an unfair advantage over opponents by utilizing state resources. So that is understood and accepted. But I want us also to note, because only today I was in the gas station and I was filling my tank, I saw a gentleman who is well known to me, and he said, well, listen, the UNC is back on track. However, he knows that Rowley is a wily one and will not, of course, go with his hand tied behind his back. And I understood what he meant. And I said to him in uncertain terms, and I think that will lay the foundation for the response that I want to give as far as that matter is concerned. And that is, learn over time. Human beings know to avoid a situation based on experience. That has been whether you want to use a scientific, should I say, state or a scientific, let's say, profession in order to make it happen, or to understand the whole question of they learn no matter what over time. The whole society learns. For example, if you have founded a particular community near a volcano, but the volcano erupts once, twice, you know the entire town and everybody is to move out. So there's also a saying that if you do the same thing over and over, then the likelihood that those who are affected, particularly if it is negative, they will learn how to respond appropriately and to, of course, avoid the pitfalls that they would have been subjected to because they were less aware and more ignorant in the early stages of that encounter or relationship. What do I mean? In simple terms, it means Rowley has had 2 bites at the cherry, and those bites would have been over 10 years or thereabout. So notice, the PNM is unable to, on a sustained basis right now, dominate the narrative. Dominate the narrative. Why? Because the people understand that he's a blasted liar and a deceiver. And that is why. And that's a simple way, but let me get this call. We always give you preference. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night.
Hey, Lennox, a pleasant good night again.
Yes.
I want to share a little story there concerning the last caller there from Tobago talking about Rowley. I want to share a little story. Yeah, what going on? Had this man looking for a job. He didn't have any qualification, he didn't have any certificates to apply for the job, but he wanted the job. And he ended up meeting a man who hired the workers and stuff for that particular job. And like I said, he didn't have no qualifications or anything, but he wanted the job. But he figured out now that the foreman liked plenty alcohol and he liked women. So he realized them 2 ingredients that the foreman liked, he access to. So he meet him either in a bar now, drinking and wherever. And so the fella say, you know what? Since he had the rum there, I will buy next bottle and I will bring 2 extra women for him and do the job. The reason why I say all of that is this. We all realize when Rowley don't like the truth, he will mount on a platform and start to shake like a mango tree when a heavy breeze blowing. So all what Kamala had to do, she had to set a trap for him. Wherever the trap may be, when that trap done see and to condemn Goodwill and the PNM government, have to do that to formulate a trap. If it's a soft approach she uses in terms of pen and paper, she has to set a dangerous trap for he alone to fall, and everything else around him go crumble. But she has to set a trap, and the trap has to set nice with a nice degree job. Because I believe Kamala has enough sense to set a trap for Goodwill. That's what she had to do, set a trap for him. And trust me, he that ignorant, he will fall into it like a wild cannon.
Yes. Thank you very much. Once again, you saw me smiling because it appears that you took the, should I say, the totality of the explanation. You have shortened my explanation because you have brought an example to demonstrate what I was saying before. And that is, over time, people observe you and know what you will do and what you will not do. And therefore, from that perspective, you have an advantage. And that is where Rowley would be falling short, as you rightly said. So, well said, well done, in terms of that particular example. So, it is not by accident the PNM cannot, from a superlative or advantageous perspective, dominate the narrative in Trinidad and Tobago today. Notice that everything they say or they try to deflect, the UNC not just counters, but they dominate. The fact that we can talk about Rowley and his shenanigans and his tendency to thief is in itself an admission, a consciousness that we know who he is. Understand that. And you had to be a fool to do the same thing over and over, especially when the results are negative, and expect a different result. So what has happened? Let's look at it. But alas, it's not so. The UNC recognizing that the loyal opposition, they took the matter to court, and the Deputy Council said to Rowley, have the blasted elections. And guess what? In those circumstances still, Rowley is trying to go to the parliament and tell us that he didn't breach any law. He didn't breach any principle, any rules to get an unfair advantage. You know, I want to tell you this as well. You know, he would say the same thing in relation, because that's what he was saying when he advanced the case for the 3 additional seats in Tobago. Yeah, you want to say advance the same case because he wants an unfair advantage. But the people in Tobago understood that and waited for his backside. And after that, his backside wasn't his. He lost all, save for what I consider to be a half-picked duck one. Half-picked duck one. Understand what is happening here. So the fact that we can use and be conscious that Rowley is the greatest threat to our democracy, our electoral process, is already a consciousness that we must take to the polls, must take it to the voting booth, and of course, ram our finger in favor of the UNC and Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the obvious alternative to the PNM and Rowley. So I am not perturbed. That is why I always talk about the glass half full, and of course it half a 3/4 full, rather than saying the 25% empty or 50% empty. Understand that. Control the Constitution and make constitutional changes. Well, we saw that couldn't happen because Kamala Persad-Bissessar, with her 19 seats, was able to almost impeach a sitting president, and that could have only happened because she had the constitutional number to force the coming together of both houses of parliament in a plenary session to discuss the conduct of the president and to begin the process of impeachment. Understand that? So it is clear to me that the opposition understand the viper, the devil, the evil, the wickedness that not only is Rowley, but what he's capable of doing. Let's go straight to the line. Professor, good night.
Yes, I'm Lennox. The Foxy again.
Yes, go ahead.
Now, I hear us be talking about the winning of the losing of Rowley in Tobago.
Yes.
You know why Rowley lost election in Tobago? The point was, the PDP at the point in time, right?
Yes.
They tell the people of Tobago and the young people that the future will change by voting for them. And the young people came out in abundance. I never see young people vote so yet since I voted. And right now, it's a lot of disappointment in Tobago with the same party that tell them X is X and Y is Y. The young people is not getting nothing to do. And if you go wrong now with a survey in Tobago, the side that win, they will not get the amount of people again like how they win. The side that win is in some kind of trouble right now. I'm telling you that from a point of view in Tobago. Every day people come in here to complain this and that and the other about this new party, right? And it is a shame. It is a shame we start off so strong and ending up so weak. I don't know how this 2 seat really going on, because I don't know if they're handing it back to PNM or what, because right now the people in Tobago is annoyed. It's annoyed with what is happening to them. Why the grass is green? They're getting nothing to do, nothing to eat. You want to tell me a child going to school and you have to buy a book for all $600-700, and then you gonna give the child 10 days on and 10 days off. And you have so many openings in government right now in Tobago, and they're not giving it to nobody. No man. One can't eat and the other one don't eat. That's gonna bring no peace in Tobago. We have to be careful now what's going on. That Rowley and them may take back this election. I coming out. I have to come out. The fox has to come out because it's shaky. It's shaky right now in Tobago. Oh God, only God to help us. We have to move Rowley. This is the only way out. This is what I'm telling you all the time. We cannot politically get out here and politically move them from our faces. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again. Now, I want to be clear here. I am not a faint-hearted, nor do I relent. I am the only man in the country that has served the Rowley a pre-action protocol letter, and that didn't finish. He might think so, but that didn't finish. That's just the first stage, that he is a blasted rapist and a pedophile. But let him, of course, wallow in his Rowley and the PNM and their fixation. In other words, like dogs sucking egg, is over. We know that they are egg suckers. We know that they are dogs. So let's not waste time. As a consequence, because of that knowledge, all of us, this very discussion tonight is relating to the acceptance of that fact. The only nuance, the only variation is how we get them out. And there are people who like the whole question of putting boots on the ground. There are those who like the idea of going to court. There are those who like the idea of going to social media. There are those who like the idea of frontal attack wherever they are in terms of their meetings, and we can go on and on. The fact is that all of them have their advantages and are designed for one purpose: to focus on an enemy that is existential, that exists right now, and that is Rowley and the PNM. And I was at pains and will continue to conclude by saying that the outcome in Tobago, it couldn't be that the success of the PNM was not the same result as a consequence of their own narrative or their own manifesto. Let me put it that way. You see, if I am to accept that Fali and they are in trouble and that the PNM lost, according to the last caller, and that is accepted, and that they lost because the existing administration told the young people of how much things that they would do for them. Well, I want to tell that particular caller, he has to convince me that Top didn't say the same thing. Top said the same thing and end up losing as well. And the fact is that PNM said the same thing and end up losing. And don't tell me that is a far-fetched, because of course we have situations right now in Tobago where UNICAT are taking back projects. There were projects that were paid for and never executed. That's the extent to which they promised work. So, to me, while that is something to be considered, there are other factors that would have caused the PNM to lose in Tobago. One of which, in my view, was the coming together of the opposition. Coming together of the opposition, as is now the case that is being pursued in Trinidad. And the collective opposition have sensed and smelt and experienced victory in the past, whether it be 1986, whether it be, of course, in 2000, or whether it would have been in 2010. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. You lost that one? Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night to you, Mr. Lennox. Good night to you.
Good night. Yes, go ahead. You losing your boy? Yeah.
Good night.
Okay.
Mr. Lennox,
Yes.
that's why I'm about Bishop Baptist to let him know that you go back to the Hansard when Mr. Baldev Pandey and Bishop with Moribund was the parliament debated it, and there you will see what is the law book and what they had to change law and amend the law to give them the recognition. And Manning did not, but anyway, that is one part of it. But you was talking about Rowley and his narrative and his ways. And the nice thing about it, when he had spoken to the diver's wife and them, he said he can't influence of anything. That they are volunteers. They are volunteering to do that. But every oil you will get, he 100 million. Then he come and he talk in the press conference that he don't influence the outcome of any case. But I want to know what he do with Tammy Robertson Regis with the $100,000 bag. And then I want to know the Donald Smith when he turned a blind eye and 100,000 change was paid on the freedom of information. We get the information. So yes, we're not talking about who will win and who will lose. The nice thing about it, the people will be going back to the poll very soon in the local election. And we have all the evidence as the callers walk up to say and the other caller want to know that what we have in place. You see when the returning officer didn't sign the ballot, we know about this now. And when the court was proven that the court could not help the PNM to put them in power in that power council in system. So they had to go back to the poll. So all of these things I want to identify to the young man that the evidence is on the answer where they change the amendment to the law so that the shelters and his money who come and change it and include the peace who only give it the money. But Mr. Lennox, your organization will give back a contractor work for donate to the house. Definitely. You will not give a contractor the work because Rowley will tell you, give the contractor that work so they can contribute to the house. So they will give you the recognition. But the person who changed the recognition is Patrick Manning. And include everybody and kick out Moribund. Right? I don't know how to address that, but Bishop. So bear with me. I would like you to tell me. So, but the nice thing about it, we have the evidence. And the polls will show, and the UNC have all the evidence, son. Just as Mr. Lennox is telling you. So that we will be going back to the poll very soon for the by-election, what they could not thief. And we know the tricks. They will sign the paper, they will put the proper initial, this one will leave and come, and this one will come and go. And we know the tricks. That is why on election day when the bell is tolled, every person is supposed to come out and put the X by the rising sun. And who want to protest and who want to stand up and Rowley must go, let me see how much people will buy gas for this whole month coming here. Let everybody sit down home and pray that Jesus was nailed to the cross for his precious blood will cleanse us and cleanse our land. Let me stay home and have prayers and fasting till Tuesday morning. Have a nice night.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, the point I got from that particular presentation, I think I should just dwell slightly on and to add is that by-election that the court said should be the consequence of the decision made in the court would be significant. Is a microcosm of In other words, the PNM will do extremely badly in the national elections when they lost that one. I cannot see them having any kind of narrative to justify that they would lose. But don't put past them that they will say that they lost, because we saw that happen in the Superior by-elections when he said that they will have their elections, and they may well win, accepting defeat. I suppose he will go there with that as well, but it will be another defeat chalked up against them, leading into a national elections. And by that time, the people will be totally convinced. And as I said, everybody knows what Rowley and them give. Nobody will accept the fact that you could for elections. And they are so stained, they are so associated with thieving elections, that even if on this occasion they have not, they are so stigmatized that people will go to the polls and make sure that they are unable to so to do. Understand that? So I expect a trashing and a disastrous defeat for the PNM. I expect that in no uncertain terms. But I wanted to lay the foundation first to show that all and sundry, the fact that we are talking about that is, of course, critical. The last caller, of course, touched on what I wanted to say with respect, of course, to the historical or the archives or the chronicle or the noting or the annotating of the spiritual Shouter Baptists and those who were opposed to this holiday. Yes, and I was making the point that we, the spiritual Shouter Baptists, have a duty and responsibility, or put another way, we have been delinquent in terms of not carrying or presenting or having that information out there, so that people like Rowley, who pretended that they don't know the history, cannot abuse the national purse in the way that they have to, of course, fragment or to, should I say, give an advantage financially to those who gravitated to the PNM as opposed to the others. And therefore, the level of equity and the level of fairness must be a thing of the past. And that is where people like myself have put, of course, a think tank together to look at that. I am on social media almost every day, radio, etc. So I think I have a duty to spearhead that initiative. So, young man, you have a commitment, and that is why I was smiling, because you touch a very sensitive and a jugular vein, so to speak, as far as the absence of appropriate information that young people can reference. And since they are on social media in the main these days, and of course, we must utilize that forum, that format, that medium in order, of course, to disseminate. So no longer after this year would Rowley be able to discriminate against Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke and the Shouter Baptist community, and claiming that he is supporting the Baptist community, and deceptively arrogating onto them the Shouter Baptist accolade, the Shouter Baptist ethos, when in fact they are not. And that is where we depart. So I want to thank you for that consideration and that very, very, what I consider be timely, but at the same time, well thought out question and concern. Very, very critical. Yes, so you, very bright fella, very, very smart fella indeed, to, of course, have brought himself to question that aspect, why it is that more information is not out there. And people like myself who are in the media have a duty and responsibility to treat with that. And as I said, I will bring on from time to time Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, even outside of the season, to have a chat with the Shouter Baptist community. So we remain in the faces of the decision makers whose responsible equitably share the resources of the country because they are a government as parliamentary representative, etc., etc., etc. All right, so I think you have, of course, the last caller has, of course, preempted me on what I want to say on that aspect of it, but I thank him anyway because I can now conclude the video that I started with respect, of course, to Dr. Rowley and his bigotry and his insincerity. And, of course, I think we have touched sufficiently to recognize that no way Rowley and they could win any elections, having regard to the history that they have exhibited, their conduct in office over time. No way. It's impossible. As we said of Tobago, and as the caller rightly said, whilst promises were made by top as well, but they are not in office. And promises were made by the PNM, and they are not in office. So there are other factors that we must, of course, look at. And that is the attempt by the PNM to undermine the democratic process. The attempt to try to use the public purse and resources for their small groupings and becoming millionaires overnight. The zip line is to Tobago, as the fake oil is to Trinidad and Tobago and Balizé House. It's construction I'm talking about. Yes. And Trinidadians are not that foolish, not that stupid. We did it before, and we'll do it again. Rowley, Diego Martin West, I will not be surprised when the election bell is rung and the votes are returned. One of the first seats to be defeated. And Rowley, no longer a parliamentary representative, far less to be prime minister. Yes, indeed. Let's go and let's see if we can complete that. We just have about 10 minutes. Again, we did, in fact, start early. I still don't believe that we are on Facebook. I'm seeing it, not engaged here, but we will try our best to see what we can do.
What do you think about Jesus? Go run the road and song the truth, believe
Somebody touch me, somebody touch my soul. Somebody touch my soul. I'll tell you what, right?
Yes, sir. That was when he, in the most savage exemplification of bigotry, intolerance of another person's religion, exhibited by the head of the PNM, and encompassed and engulfed and embraced by the leadership, as you see there. And so therefore, when you're giving 10 million and another 10 million, it is not of genuine concern. And at any rate, the beneficiary and the rationale for delivering thereto is flawed. Flawed. It's unjust, unfair, and will not prevail. Cannot prevail. If you really believe in the supremacy of the Almighty, cannot prevail. Dr. Archbishop Episcopus Barbara Gray Burke and the Council of Elders will get their portion at the appropriate time. At the appropriate time. Slow but sure. Listen to Rowley.
Meet me in the Savannah next year.
At a PNM exercise.
That he's also a master of impressions. Prime Minister, here the producers lining up to support you for Carnival.
Just imagine that.
As well, you know.
I'll tell you what, right? Meet me in the Savannah next year. Somebody touch me. Somebody touch me. Somebody touch my soul. Yeah. Somebody touch me. Praise to me, Jesus. Somebody touch my soul. Somebody touch me. Somebody touch me. Somebody touch my
Manning,
soul.
stop him.
Yeah. Somebody touch me. Praise to me, Jesus. Somebody touch my soul. Life too sweet, I can't complain. The only concern
Just imagine that. Encouraging you to make a mockery of the Baptist community and the religion. Watch him, watch him. The red line back man. Look, all of them.
Somebody touch me. Somebody touch me. Somebody touch my soul.
All of them.
I'll tell you what, right? Meet me this. You have built the headquarters in Balmain.
And today, he's talking that hogwash.
You have built
insincere,
the auditorium
meaningless.
in Balmain. You have built the car park in Balmain. And I think you are designing the cathedral. So you are making good use and good progress farther along. And of course, you did ask for help with respect to a memorial ground. But
there can be no cathedral for the Baptist community. There can be no cathedral for the spiritual Baptist community. There can be no cathedral that encompasses all of the Baptist sect, if you want to call it that. Because the Shouter Baptists worship differently to that of the spiritual Baptists. The Shouter Baptists under the Council of Elders headed by Her Grace Episcopus Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke plant flags of different colors for different deities. In the spiritual Shouter Baptist community of the